Guys, it is Fantasy Championship week, and here's our top 24 running backs for week 17. And guys, before we get into it, check out our SOBET. We still have a bunch of spots available for the first free month trial, so you don't even have to pay for the first month. On there, you get our exclusive content plus exclusive content of 25 plus other creators. Again, go check it out. First link in the description.
At RB1, we have CMC Christian McCaffrey. He has a great matchup in week 17. Plays the Vegas Raiders, who are not good at all against running backs. CMC's been balling all season long, especially with the Niners. He's been great. He is our RB1 this week.
And running back number 2, we got Saquon Barkley. He has been balling, believe the last 2 weeks, so in the playoffs, he's been averaging over 25 points a game. He has been phenomenal, and he has an amazing matchup in a must-win game for the Giants against the Colts at home. Expect a big game from Saquon.
At RB3, we have Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler, he's been the RB1 all season, plays the Rams, who's a bit of a tough matchup, but if Aaron Donald doesn't play, it's not too tough. This Chargers offense isn't scoring a ton, but when they are scoring, it seems to be almost exclusively Austin Eckler, getting so many touchdowns. He's a PPR monster. He obviously has to be started in every single league.
This guy, I don't think, has been this high this year, but James Conner has been phenomenal this season. He's the biggest bell cow in the NFL right now, playing around 95% of snaps. That is awesome for fantasy, and it's an awesome matchup this week against the Falcons.
Next up, at RB5, we have Derrick Henry. He normally is higher than this, but he plays Dallas on Thursday night. Dallas should get ahead in this game. They have a super good run defense if Tennessee goes down. They might have to abandon the run a little bit. We still start Henry. I just don't think he'll have his normal week. I think in the championship, he might disappoint just a little bit.
And a player with a good matchup is Travis Etienne. Finally got back on track, had a pretty good game for fantasy last week, and plays the Texans, who obviously are dead last against running backs. It's an amazing matchup. Expect a big game from Etienne.
And at RB7, dropping a tier, we got Joe Mixon playing on this hopefully high-scoring Monday night matchup, Bills versus Bengals. Joe Mixon has touchdown upside, and he showed his PPR upside last week, had 9 targets. Very safe floor. If he can score a touchdown, he should have a great week in fantasy.
Next up, number 8, Leonard Fournette was awesome last week, around 25 points, and he's taking over this backfield, playing around 60%, 65% of the snaps. Rashad White's good, but again, Leonard Fournette is taking over this backfield. He was bad last time against the Panthers, but it's a must-win game. Expect a good game from Fournette.
At RB number 9, we have Dalvin Cook. He's been super up and down all season. Last week, a bit disappointing, I think around 10 points. The week before, though, exploded for over 25 points. Gets to play the Packers. It's a pretty good matchup. Packers are quite bad against RBs. Dalvin Cook, though, it's been kind of a roller coaster if you have him in fantasy. He's up and then down. Hopefully, he can have a good week in week 17.
Next up, Alvin Kamara finally was good last week, had around 19 fantasy points. This week, though, it is a tough matchup against the Eagles. The Saints' offense has not been good, but again, it's a must-win game. Hopefully they show out. Hopefully Kamara is at least solid, but just don't love the upside.
Next up, at wide receiver 11, big bust last week. It's Ramondre Stevenson. Fumbled in clutch time. Also just didn't have a good game last week. Goes against the Miami Dolphins, who aren't great against RBs, not terrible, more of a mid matchup. I think he played on 91% of snaps, though. He is that clear bell cow. Should be getting some targets, especially if Damian Harris doesn't play. Expect a ton of snaps for Stevenson. Hopefully he can bounce back this week.
And last player in this tier, we got Kenneth Walker. It's not the best matchup in the world against the Jets, but the rookie has been showing out. The team's clear RB1, been getting tons of carries, a pretty safe floor, just again with the tough matchup, not sky-high upside.
At RB13, he has never been high all season this high. We got Cam Akers. 34.7 points last week. The RB1 overall. The Rams absolutely murked the Denver Broncos. Absolute killing. Cam Akers 3 touchdowns. Amazing game. This time against the Chargers. The Rams probably aren't going to win this game. They're not going to be able to run the ball as much, but the Chargers are quite bad against running backs. Expect Cam Akers to, if the Rams score, it'll probably be either Cam Akers or Tyler Higbee. More likely Cam Akers. He gets in the end zone a good amount. We like the start of Cam.
And next up, a player who has fallen down big time. We've been saying it, at least on our TikTok videos, to trade him away a while ago. Not trade him away, but just maybe trade him away for a guy with better playoff matchups. It is Josh Jacobs in the Fantasy Championship. Plays the Niners. It is the worst matchup for a running back. Even last week, in a tough matchup, only put about around 6 or 7 points. This week against the Niners. Don't love the upside for Josh Jacobs.
Next up, we have Aaron Jones at RB. Last time the Vikings did play the Packers, it was more of an A.J. Dillon game. We think Aaron Jones can bounce back. A.J. Dillon has been playing a bit better recently. Aaron Jones has been dealing with injuries, was a bit injured last week, but if he can stay healthy, gets good targets, gets in the end zone, we like his upside.
Another player with good upside, Tony Pollard. Normally group them together, both him and Zeke together, but again, tough matchup on paper against the Titans. Super good against the run. So Zeke being more that running back, Pollard more the receiving back. But Pollard higher on the list this week. Again, bit of a tougher matchup, but he still has good upside.
Next up, dropping a tier, we'll clump these two guys together. It is Jerick McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco. Last week, Pacheco should have had a better game. He had 14 carries. Jerick McKinnon only had 5. McKinnon only had 3 catches, but McKinnon got in the end zone. He put up more points. That's why he's a bit higher. Plus, they're playing the Broncos. Cam Akers just killed him, but what happened last time the Chiefs played the Broncos? McKinnon went nuclear. Over 30 fantasy points was the RB1 overall. I think both these guys have good games. McKinnon's slightly higher, but I think they are pretty close.
Another player who has fallen massively. He has fallen way down our rankings. Nick Chubb has been awful for fantasy ever since Watson came in. Hasn't scored a touchdown yet. He has been, just so bad. I think in the 4 games, only one of them above 10 points. It was last week. It was around 11, 12 points. He has not been good for fantasy. He still has to be started because of the safe floor. But yeah, with Watson, he just has not been that good.
Next up, we have one of the biggest playoff busts so far. It's Miles Sanders. Stunk against the Bears, and then last week was pretty bad against the Dallas Cowboys. Against the Saints, it's another tough matchup. I think he gets a lot better if Hurts plays. But if Minshew plays, just don't love the upside. Again, he needs Hurts to be in there. Gets a lot of scoring. Minshew did score, but it was mostly passing touchdowns. Sanders is a risky play in week 17.
And last player in this tier, we got Najee Harris. He was actually pretty good last week, around 15 points, getting targets, getting pretty good work on the ground. Again, never has the highest upside with Kenny Pickett being the team starting quarterback, but he's still pretty solid and plays Sunday Night Football. Must-win game, like we're saying, for a bunch of teams this late in the season, so still do like Najee.
Our first player in this last tier is A.J. Dillon. He's actually been balling out recently. I think over 17 points in 3 of his last 4 games, and in that other game he didn't hit it. He got like 12 points, pretty solid. Plus, he plays the Vikings. Last time he played them, over 20 points. He's been great recently. Him and Aaron Jones are a good RB duo. Still like Jones a bit more, but Dillon has proven his upside. We like him as a start.
Next up, Donta Foreman. He has been balling. This Panthers run game, him and Chuba, I believe both had over 100 rushing yards. I want to say both had over 100 rushing yards in the first half. They have been going absolutely crazy. It's a bit of a tougher matchup against the Bucs, but James Conner just went crazy against them. And also Foreman, last time he played the Bucs, had a pretty good game, over 100 rushing yards. Do like Foreman a lot this week.
In our last player of this video, we have Devin Singletary. He's kind of been split in the backfield a bit with James Cook. They've both been solid, both getting some targets. Devin Singletary getting a bit more rushing attempts in this high-scoring game, hopefully against the Bengals. Maybe you can get in the end zone and have a pretty nice fantasy day. He is our RB24.
Guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Again, check out our SOBET. Still a bunch of spots available for the first month free trial. Get our exclusive content, 25 plus other creators exclusive content as well. Thanks again for watching. See you guys next time.